A long time ago, I would get into dozens of raging YouTube discussions in the comment section of a video between me and an endless army of believers, it seemed like. Both of us, all of us, absolutely certain that our view of the world was indeed the correct one. Of course, none of these discussions between me and them accomplished anything at all, as neither the commenter nor I took anything away from the discussion. We both thought that each other was delusional, and both of us thought that the other was living in their own shrinking bubble of ignorance. As time passed, though, I became less tenacious in my arguments, perplexed really, as I couldn't understand why so many believers raided the comment section of every single nature and scientific video on YouTube. I made to respond, but I didn't. Not this time. Instead, I did something quite uncharacteristic of me. I refrained from commenting. I sat back and I read. I read roaring Bible thumpers. I read the pleas of evidence from agnostics. I read skeptical atheists. I read evolutionary biologist comments, and I read history majors and theologians. I read the most disrespectful slurs from both sides, like venom, these people. I read them all. And then I spoke. Not with the statement, but with the question. I picked the most uproarious individual I could find from both sides, two dobies of mankind, vicious motherfuckers, and I asked them. I asked each, and I said to the atheist, what would convince you that the Bible is true? Is there anything at all that would cause you to pause? Anything? And he replied, of course, dipshit. If I heard an audible voice, or if I saw a hand fall from the sky, of course I'd reconsider. But none of that's going to happen, is it, dickhead? I said, I see. Other atheists weren't so hostile as this individual, but they still said similar things. Many of them said that they could be convinced. Then I went to the angry Christian, and I asked him the same question. What would cause you to pause and question your beliefs? Is there anything? And then something a bit shocking happened. Shocking to me, anyway. 7 times out of 10, they would respond, nothing. My faith is too strong. Or they would say, that's an erroneous statement because it is true, and therefore I cannot say what would convince me that it is not true. You wouldn't believe how many times I heard that last one. It's true, so therefore I can't think about the possibility of it not being true. I even heard a few people answer my question with this. I would never disrespect God by answering that question, because I have a personal relationship with Him. Would you ever question your own wife's existence? I said, yes, I would. If every time I thought I was talking to my wife, someone took a picture and showed me that it was in fact a door or a desk or other inanimate object, I would then have to suspect that maybe she isn't there, despite what my head is telling me. But there were other Christians that I spoke to that were much more sensible. One person said, if there was a person who was born without the capability to love, I'd question my beliefs because the Bible tells us that God is love. I didn't bother telling him that love is merely a chemical in the brain, no different than the causality of adrenaline or the conversion of food into energy. Nothing spiritual about it. No, instead, I just let him be. After all, the purpose of my question wasn't to convince him otherwise, but it was to give insight into the religious way of thinking, a religious mind. I wanted to know if there was some place for rationale in there. To say that his answer gave me hope would be an understatement. Another person said, if I could find something scientifically inaccurate in the Bible, then I'd definitely have to bring my beliefs into question. Since God made science, he should be able to tell us how it works. Another man said, if Jesus did not rise from the dead, then my faith would be absolutely dashed. Now I was listening. Now I was learning. My polling found that around 70 to 75% of Christians can never be persuaded, ever, no matter what. Their faith is just too strong, they say. But it also showed that 20 to 25% could be persuaded. Far less than what I originally expected, but it is something. On the other hand, almost every single atheist out of the 30 that I questioned said that they could indeed be persuaded if given the evidence that they need. So I asked them, if you are an atheist, what would convince you that God is in fact real? That's a personal question. And if you are a believer, what would make you question your beliefs?